Hello and welcome to the 100th Pens and Pixels podcast. I'm your host, Cal G. And with me is the century-old...
Fuck.
Coordinator extraordinator.
Mike Kent, I guess.
The podcast is the place you come to 100 times in a row to hear about the art and news of video games, comics, and movies that week.
That's right. And although I've never had a good catchphrase, we're the PPP, or the...
It's my favorite one.
It's my favorite one.
I gotta say. After 100, we finally nailed it down. What the catchphrases are. So this week, we're going to be going over the news you need to know, as per usual. And then after the break, we're going to do an After Dark segment. I've watched like 4 or 5 movies this week that I need to talk about.
I've watched actually a lot of series. I've watched, again, to Star Trek Discovery, just to talk about all the cool shit happening there. I did do a little bit of Stranger Things, although I think we'll probably do a full proper review of that at some point in the future.
Yes.
And I watched all of Mindhunter, which was excellent. So look forward to that. If you like that stuff, you can check out the After Dark part. Otherwise,
I watched spooky movies.
Surprising.
Yeah. Is there any housekeeping this week, Mike?
I'm always so hesitant on news. Like, there's so many things building up, but it's like, do I confirm that now?
You said next week, last week.
I did. And things weren't 100% confirmed in between.
Okay, well then, just wait until you can actually say it.
Yeah. The person who was confirming it went and got married, so...
Is there any minor housekeeping? Like, hey, Pens and Pixels fans, keep on drawing. Keep at it.
I mean, if you want to know about upcoming stuff for Pens and Pixels, it's pretty much the same as usual. Drink and Draw happens second Thursday of every month. If you're in Ottawa, come out and join us and draw with that. Also, for initiatives and stuff happening coming up in the near future, we will be doing drawing lessons probably in December, and also debating on whether or not we're going to be doing the art jam now, or if we're going to be doing it during something special when that's announced.
Something special when that's announced.
It's a huge...
It's vague enough just to be exciting.
It's a huge thing. What's coming is huge. It's the biggest thing I've ever done, and it's stressing the shit out of me. But when it is all settled and I get to tell you guys, you're going to be like, oh, it's big. Like, I'm not going to come out and be like fucking Sony or something and be like, here's my DLC.
Mike's like, we're launching paper pads. Pens and Pixels branded little scratch pads.
Yeah. Or, what is it, sticky notes? Like the yellow sticky notes?
Yeah, that's what those are, yeah.
Yeah. Just, we're releasing the Pens and Pixels sticky note.
It just has a logo on it, so you can't even see what you've written correctly.
Yeah.
Good luck.
It's like a flip book of just the logo changing.
Just disappearing.
Yeah.
Fading off, like this podcast.
So you get one good one at the end.
Can you believe we've done 100 episodes?
Yeah, I didn't even
We've
know.
actually done more than 100 because of all the reviews and specials and stuff we've done. But 100 episodes.
Yeah.
100.
We're 24 off from 2 full years of this.
No, we're 4 off from 2 full years of this.
Isn't it?
52 weeks.
52, sure. So 62. Fuck. All right, never mind. Sorry.
No. What?
I fucked up in my head. I'm tired. I've been marching all day.
It's 104.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said 64.
I thought it was 62.
Why'd you say 64? Because the Nintendo 64 is so good. Segue right into the newsy news.
That's not a segue at all.
There's actually no N64 news. I just wanted to get into the news. But don't figure this because the news is talking about. Until now. First newsy news story. Logan team on dreaming up a Laura spin-off and finding the drama in Wolverine's Goodbye.
Finding the drop. It wasn't dramatic?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they had to find that. It seemed pretty dramatic. So, I mean, the big news is they want to do an X-23 spin-off.
Yeah. I mean, okay, as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming they would want to go with this same storyline, same character. Mm-hmm. It might, I mean, maybe there's a time skip, Maybe she's older. Maybe she still stays young. Are you interested in seeing that? It'd be the same world.
Well, no, it's just like this is the problem with the other universes, the spin-off shit, right? We were talking about like 5 weeks ago, all of the shit they were doing with the Spider-Verse, right? They're like, Mysterio movie. Like, literally the only bad guy left in Spider-Man who still probably goes, yeah, money, see? Like, like...
Hammerhead does that. He's like literally a guy who does that. He's like this old gangster with a hard head.
It's true.
That's his power.
He's the one with the flat top head. It's like
flat top head. He wears like a suit.
Yeah, and then he just like charges at you like Homer.
Yeah, with his head. He's usually a gangster. He's like usually someone else's pawn.
What I never understood in the comic books with that was why Spider-Man ever got hit by him, which he did a lot.
Oh yeah.
Like he's like, my spider agility helped me dodge the Flash, and you're like, okay, so why did the guy with the hammer head, who literally ran at you at human speed, like, you were just like, oh, I'm a little slow today.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to write around shit like the spider sense. It's like, why did he get hit by fucking anything?
Anything.
It's even worse with the Flash. The Flash should never get hit by anything ever.
No.
Unless it's like the Reverse Flash doing it to him. But all the time, constantly.
Yeah. Or getting like tripped up. They're like, oh, we just we stopped him from being able to run. When you can operate at a speed that is faster than time, I don't really see.
Yeah, there's no problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, in theory, I'm interested in an X-23 spinoff. I like X-23 as a character.
She did a good job in the movie, and I liked her and everything like that. It's just the spin-off universe. I feel like, you know, everyone, as we've said this 1,000 times, but everyone's chasing the Marvel Cinematic Universe and its goals, right? To try and make something that makes $21 billion. That's literally how much it's earned to this point.
Do you think that's their goal here? They want to make, like, the Wolverine-verse?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because, like, the only redeemable mutant saga right now is this. And X-Men, although they're trying to launch the Dark Phoenix thing, is failing financially.
I mean, they have Deadpool, too, and that's doing just fine.
Yeah, sure, but that's what is that called? Like a surprise, basically. Like they were like, oh shit, I didn't expect that to work.
Yeah.
And it was a very different tonal movie than the rest, right? Well, they're still trying to do the cinematic Marvel action, you know, fight a bad guy, you know, save the day, etc. formula that Feige set up. In that formula, with them trying to do the same thing, like, they're just going to keep going, and it's going to... I gotta say, like, I mean, I really want to know from people who are listening, who are the hardcore fans, people who are still the movie fans, right? Are you guys officially feeling the fatigue? Because I'm so burnt out, you know, like, you even just told me before the podcast that Spider-Man Homecoming was one of the best superhero movies you've seen in a while.
Yep.
I don't care. Like, I don't even want to turn it on. I know it's good. I know I'll enjoy it, but I'm just like, don't care.
So why are you feeling this way, though? This is what I don't understand about the whole superhero fatigue thing, is that it's just like its own thing. It's like, to me, it's like, oh, there's a superhero movie, there's a horror movie. Like, I like to watch all the horror movies to see, like, what's going on. Like, I like a lot of this. They're just another thing for me, you know?
No, and I get
there's no fatigue in it for me because it's not like...
And I get that. I've had that.
You know what I mean?
I've had that internal argument myself where I'm like, why don't I just enjoy the movies? I don't know what it is. I think it's just...
Is it personally us talking about it every week? Because we have usually 2 or 3 superhero stories. So us dissecting everything. You're just like, I'm fucking tired. I think by the time it's out, you're just like, fuck it.
See, that's the stupid part too. Because like when I read it in a comic book, I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, oh, that one time Doctor Strange, you know, warped time, something in issue 242. Like, I'm that guy. So like, why would I be doing this with a film? I think it's just also... I think my superhero fatigue, and I think everyone else's superhero fatigue, is not based on the fact that there's too many superheroes because we're superhero fans, and that's our shit. It's that the rest of the cinematic industry isn't creating original content to help inflate things. You know, like, while we had superheroes doing superhero things, and every single time it was usually the same shit, but we were happy to have it in our comic books. You know, people were trying to do new things, like, oh, here's the Matrix and a new entire way of using cinematography to do fighting and wire work and shit, right? And here's... you know, this other movie that incorporated all the CG in a fantastic way, etc. Like, people trying to try new things all the time, and it seems like the only place that we're getting people trying new things is TV, which is fine. I'm fine if like the budgets for TV go up to the point for a film and it gets that good. I mean, amen. I'm down with it. But since we're in that limbo where TV's catching up but not gone yet, and all we get are... So
you're saying they're playing it too safe and it's becoming a little too formulaic.
Yeah, and that's what this is. Right.
Well, Kevin Feige responds to criticism of similar tones in MCU movies. The Marvel formula, if you will.
Yeah, the Marvel formula, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically superhero gets superpowers / origin story / motivation story, even fights enemy with the exact same powers. Yes. Every time. Please, like, thank God for Infinity War, where they'll be fighting something, unless Thanos has everyone's powers.
I can see him doing it too.
Like,
those are always my least favorite, by the way, in fighting games. They always every, I swear, series has a boss that then the boss is just, oh, he has everyone's moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so boring.
Well, fuck, Akuma is just Ryu.
Oh, yeah, that's different, though. That's
not different at all.
Well, he's only one character. There's like, yeah, but like, okay, Ryu, Ken, Dan, Akuma, and, what's his name? Go, their master. Whatever their master's name is. Yeah. Goken. I don't know what his name is. Yeah. There's like at least 5 Shoto-type characters like that. That's fine. I mean, the boss characters, like, there was one in Soul Calibur who, like, just had everyone's moves. He was, like, just everyone amalgamated. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I know, I got that too, so it doesn't work in any context.
Anyways, so, Feige addressed the issue in an interview with Uproxx while promoting Ragnarok. The mastermind behind the $11 billion cinematic dollar empire.
It's 21 now.
What?
I thought the cinematic universe was 21 billion. I heard that earlier today.
Maybe it's a typo. I have no idea. Okay. Empire tackled MCU criticism such as retreading similar narratives, case in point, Iron Man and Doctor Strange, making the films a little bit too formulaic. Kevin responds, I think it's just the way we make movies. I think all the movies are relatively different. I think there's a narrative that people like to write about because they're all produced by the same team and they all inhabit the same fictional cinematic universe. That we look for common similarities. I'm not saying there aren't common similarities throughout it, but I think Thor Ragnarok and Spider-Man Homecoming are 2 totally different types of movies. They're both fun, they both enjoy them. Is that a similarity? If so, I'll take it. If that's criticism, I'll take that too. But really, yeah, Homecoming, Ragnarok, Panther, Into Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp after that, and the 90s set Captain Marvel after that, are 6 very different movies. If what they have in common is they're all really enjoyable and fun to watch, then I'll take it.
He's like, yeah, you know what, if I have a tone and that tone is I'm successful, I'll do it.
Yeah, they're all fucking awesome and make a lot of money. Is that the similar thing?
Yeah. Like, it's a bit of a fuck you. Which I gotta give to Feige for back, just basically being like, all my films are amazing, awesome.
That's a 100% great PR spin. Yeah. Like, that is just, that's great.
It's a really, really good way of doing it. And I mean, hat off to you again.
I'll say to his credit, Ragnarok does look a lot different. I don't think Panther looks that much different.
No.
It's a story of redemption, and he's fighting someone who is exactly him.
Yeah.
You know? Homecoming, I guess, was different. You know, it was different in the way that it focused more on Peter Parker than it did Spider-Man.
Yeah. But, I mean, the 90s set Captain Marvel, probably.
It'll probably be the same, yeah. Who knows? We can't say anything about that yet.
No.
But, I mean, to his credit, I guess he's saying, like, in the future, they are changing, but yeah, like...
But this is kind of funny, like in counter to my point I was just making. That's the thing, the Marvel Cinematic Universe having a tone that's all the same, it unified the films into a single universe. Since they all felt tonally the same, they all felt like they were all part of the same universe, even though, because like DC's going, I'm a Batman movie, but here's Superman, right? Like, by the way, we're in here together, like literally as blatantly as possible, just making sure you know, because the next movie will be something entirely different, right? But all of the MCU ones are all merged together, and that's part of what makes the MCU so successful, aside from really great writing and wonderful timeline. But so like I actually really enjoy that component, and I think it's one of the reasons why whenever an MCU film comes out, I'm usually not, I don't like resist it. I'm like, okay, I'm probably, because like I want to go see Thor because Thor looks good and blah blah. Like, you're right, I get more in the mindset of I just enjoy getting a superhero movie here and there for fun. Right? Yeah. I think part of that fatigue and the reason why it's becoming a thing is when it first started, getting past everything all the way up to Avengers, right? When Avengers Winter Soldier time.
Sure.
Those movies, when they came out, we were like just busting nuts everywhere about superhero films. We were like, holy shit, a superhero film can have as much impact as The Matrix or any other really great movie that will have an impact in history. Pop culture, people are quoting it, all that kind of shit, right? I really haven't felt that in any, like, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, no, fucking...
It feels like they've hit a bar of quality that is good, and they've stuck safe in that. They're not willing to take much of a risk outside of that.
Yeah, and now every single time it comes out, and I'm not getting the impact I got when I watched Avengers, and I had like butterflies the whole time, baffled that my superheroes were so accurately represented. Is
this why you were so excited for the New Mutants and this take on the horror thing?
Exactly.
That's what we've been talking about, right?
Because like that's
explore different genres within superhero.
Yeah, like it's time to take that turn away because I can't get the jitters and excitement every time they're like, we're making Captain Marvel. Like, I fucking love Captain Marvel, but I don't really care they're making Captain Marvel. I'm super excited to have a black character, and especially Black Panther, who is a fucking incredible character in Marvel. And I'm super excited to have him show up, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't care about these new people. They're like, guess who might be brought into the MCU? And I'm like, I don't give a shit.
What I'm really excited about is, in Captain Marvel, is the Skrulls.
Yeah.
I want them to reveal that, like, everyone was a Skrull the whole time, and just everyone just crumbles apart, and there's a green man underneath. I have all the powers of the Fantastic Four!
Because...
See that full circle there? Speaking of moving into different genres for superhero movies, Thor Ragnarok's Taika Waititi wants to make a Black Widow film as a comedy.
So if anyone doesn't know...
Sorry, let me read this thing first.
Yeah.
Much to the chagrin of Marvel fans, Marvel Studios has yet to pull the trigger on a solo movie starring Scarlett Johansson's super spy Natasha Romanoff. However, in addition to his desire to make a sequel to Thor Ragnarok, director Taika Waititi has revealed his interest in a Black Widow film. Although not as a traditional espionage thriller, he envisions the project as a comedy. In all honesty, I reckon I would probably bring something pretty unique to any of the franchises. So I'd love to see Black Widow. I'd like to see Black Widow as something crazy and a bit funnier than we expect it to be. And we know her story is very sullen and very dark, and her history is very dark. But what's the funny version of that? What's the more entertaining version of that?
Yeah, what's the fucking funny version of being made barren and turned into a living weapon? You know, ah ha ha, we stole your womb. Gotcha. Oh, good prank, guys. Like, what the fuck?
And you're trained to be a killing machine.
Like, haha, let's make this a cheery thing. But if anyone doesn't know, SNL literally made a complete trailer to this, because it would...
Like 2 years ago.
As a joke, like when they said they'd finally make a woman's movie, they would make it into a romantic comedy, because the only way they could make a woman's movie work, right? Mm. And the whole tagline was, Marvel, we get girls, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. This would come off as the most sexist thing ever.
Yeah, and like me and Mike again have been touting the whole like we want to see superhero movies explore different genres and the whole like horror or whatever. Mm-hmm. At no point does I even said a bunch of times I was like, oh, Squirrel Girl will make a good romantic comedy because she's that type of character. Yeah. Black Widow, don't shove her into a romantic comedy.
No, like if you watch the SNL skit, you'll see how ludicrous it is. Like, you know, she's gonna pull a fucking.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. She's working in a magazine.
Yeah, like a Devil Wears Prada, and she does like a quadruple backflip in, and then it's like that shirt's going on the cover. Like, you know, it's just so stupid of a thing. It's a
really ridiculous thing to say.
And it's weird coming from Taika Waititi, because after Thor Ragnarok now, he's officially become one of the hottest directors and is really sought after by everybody to jump in on different films.
Sorry, he also said, I really go for the underdog. And I think there's a way with any of the characters. You just have to find it, and what honors what's already there with the source material, but it also brings a more entertaining form for the audience. Again, her story is so dark, there's no way you're respectfully making that a comedy.
Yeah, she was a trained weapon, learned to feel no emotion when she killed.
Like, there's this, like, intense surgery scene, it's all dark, they're, like, removing the womb, and, like, afterwards she's taken out, and then she's like, Natasha Romanoff, you will never have a child you're bred to kill. And then she just looks at the screen. She's like, I didn't want kids anyways. And like, da-da-da-da-da. Black Widow.
I'm a powerful single woman in the city.
Ew, kids.
Yeah. I don't need men.
She puts that on her Tinder profile about like...
Yeah. And then there'll be the whole thing again. Like afterwards, she's like, I can't have kids. I don't need men. Oh, but look at that one beautiful guy. I just fell in love. I do need a man in my life.
Yeah.
Because all women need is a man in my life.
We wrote the movie.
Yeah.
We wrote the fucking movie.
And that's the thing, too. Like, if you were to make it as that, how original could you be with Black Widow as a comedy? Because it would just fall into all the same exact fucking tropes.
It makes zero sense.
This is the worst thing you possibly could have said, Taika Waititi. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Unless he's... and we're reading this in text, so if this was a video interview, please send it to us, and he's, like, super kidding about it, and he's like, yeah, that'd be fucking, funny.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, too. Like, if it was taken out of context, for sure, let us know, because, like, currently in context, dumb.
Super dumb. It's not super dumb though. The Deathstroke movie is coming for the Raid director, Gareth Evans.
That's awesome news.
This is fucking fantastic. If you have not seen The Raid, it's one of the best action movies in the last 10 years for sure.
Well, it is the best action movie in a long time. Story wise, who gives a shit? But it's got the best action. Oh, yeah,
scenes. Story. There's no story.
It's just literally mute it and just watch people fight because like it's fucking genius fight scenes.
And The Raid 2 is like even better.
Didn't he do the choreography for Daredevil 1? That whole hallway scene.
Why, yes, Mike, he is the man who did that.
We didn't pause at all.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
and like that scene alone can show you like what this guy can do.
Yeah, like
with a character like Deathstroke too.
Yeah. So to fill in the fans the listeners who aren't huge fans of DC or Deathstroke and/or The Raid, Gareth Evans is I think he actually even started off as a choreographer for fight scenes in movies primarily. and then he's been able to take over as a director a few times. But he did this movie called The Raid, which is touted as one of the greatest action movies due to the fight sequences in it. And then for those of you who are a little bit more into the Netflix world, for Daredevil, he did the choreography for season 1, not for any of the shit that's happened recently because it's shitty. It's fucking so bad. But there is that notorious, I think it's like 12-minute one-shot fight scene in the hallway.
It's the one you know. It's the one-shot down the hallway fight scene. Which is fucking incredible.
Fucking incredible. Like, everyone watched that and was like...
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
So then with the character, Deathstroke is basically DC's Deadpool without the humor.
Yep.
And we won't go into a story about the character, but he is a big martial art fighting character. The only guy who can hand-to-hand Batman.
Yeah.
So best fight choreographer meets high-flying martial arts action character who is also a nasty merc killer.
And he's not he's just not a superhero, right? Like, he doesn't have powers technically.
No, he has powers.
Does he?
Yeah, he's genetically enhanced.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's got he's got a healing factor.
I was gonna say, so maybe this could have been all like in no CG with him.
His powers, as per most characters, but has had some pretty heavy fluctuations. 'Cause, like, in the very beginning, they said he had enhanced strength, but then they said he had enhanced reflexes and like his brains, like why he was able to strategize, because like that's his coolest part is his like strategy shit. But then he went back to having strength and reflexes. I'm
just hoping for like raid style fights where like when he kicks someone, maybe they don't blow apart.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think they're going to give him a level of strength of like fucking like Superman or some shit. Like, he's never had that kind of level. He's got more of like the super strength in the context of Wolverine, I guess. You give him kind of a super strength.
Sure, okay, makes sense.
You know, like he might be able to jump about 4 or 5 feet in the air without straining himself, kind of thing.
No, that is that's like the best move. DC, we report on them every week. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes we're like, this is stupid, stop announcing so many goddamn things.
Yeah.
This is the best news by far I've heard. This is something that could actually work.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Turn Deathstroke into like a fucking John Wick. Like, who cares about the story? The story is literally, you killed my dog, let me go fucking kill shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
just copy that story.
Yeah, just do that. Like, who cares? Other than that, let's just watch Deathstroke just fucking wreck.
Speaking of, I'm surprised with Black Widow, they wouldn't, their initial reaction wouldn't be like, oh, Atomic Blonde and that new one coming out, Red Robin or something with Jennifer Lawrence. Mm-hmm. Like, the John Wick style of things, that's exactly Black Widow stuff. Yeah. You know? Do that.
I would even say just go full fucking James Bond. Like, let's get rid of the martial arts and go full espionage.
Or even go
Jason Bourne, you know?
The Bourne legacy. Alright, let's get into some video game news. Last week, we brought you some news that Destiny 2 had... its sales were down 50% physically. And me and Mike, we postulated that possibly there were a lot of digital sales, but we didn't think it could have quite made up 50% of their sales.
Not a chance.
But apparently it did quite well, because Destiny 2, in just 1 month, is 2017's best-selling game. And it also had the biggest digital launch in console history.
Which is... really cool. Like, I mean, I was talking about this before when we were talking about how physical sales are still outdoing digital, and how I'm a pure digital guy. Like, I don't buy physical copies. You even just bought a physical copy of Evil Within, right? So, like, I'm not that guy in any fashion whatsoever. I'm digital all the way, and I was kind of baffled to find out that no one else was. But apparently, that's changing.
Oh, yeah, apparently. Crazy that this is the top-selling game of all year in 1 month.
Which means that means tens of millions at least. Let's just go with 10 million units sold, right?
Yeah, because before this, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands was the #1 selling game. Yeah. And it had beaten like Horizon Zero Dawn, it beat all these like bigger games and stuff, and me and you were like looking at each other like, what the fuck? Like and it beat out that one, and it had been raining since I think March or April, whenever it came out. Fucking nuts.
But it's like, think about the numbers. Like, I mean, it's probably more than 10 million. It's probably like 12 or 14 million. But like, let's just take 10 for a nice round number. If it's 50% of those sales, that's 5 million people did digital sales. Like, beforehand, the old numbers, like no more than a few months ago we were looking at, were like, 10%, which would have been like 100,000 people. Like, that's
whatever company it was said their sales had gone from like 10 to 20%, and that was like a huge increase in all this stuff. Like, it's like 50%. Or we're guessing roughly 50%. That is nuts.
I'm starting to see people put it on their ads, because usually, like, so good examples are Cuphead and Battle Chasers. Not epic triple. Well, they're selling extremely well. Like, Cuphead's huge, but they're not fucking Destiny. And they're talking about, they're like, oh, look at our discs in Walmart and shit like that, right? Which is all well and cool. But they keep talking about, make sure it also, if you want, pick it up digitally at any time you want. Like, I'm seeing people talk about the digital release, then usually it was never, like, it was like on PlayStation, on this, basically saying disc.
Yeah.
Now it's saying like disc, or digital, right? Which is super cool. I mean, anyone out there who hasn't converted, fucking go digital. Like, who cares about discs?
I mean, we'll get there eventually. Everything will be digital.
Yeah.
There'll be a console one day where there will be no disc drive. It'll all be on there.
Yeah.
Storage is basically the biggest issue, and internet speeds for some areas of the country.
Well, I mean, look at your fucking computer. Like, if your computer has a CD drive, most people are like, "What the fuck are you doing with CDs? CDs are coasters these days."
Do I have a CD drive?
Yes,
I do. Yeah, look at me go. This is a new computer too.
Yeah. But you know what I mean, like, right? Someone gives you a CD for like, here, install this program. You're like,
well, usually
what?
It's an option. Like, a CD is now usually a thing that's like, here's the backup in case you're unconnected to the internet for some reason. But download the program. Like,
yeah, like I just got a new tablet, like just a basic, not the fucking super duper, like not a Bamboo, was the new better than Bamboo, Intuos.
Intuos, yeah.
Yes, the Intuos. I got one for free with my job, and I just hooked it up, and it had a disc in there, and I was like, what point do I have? I can plug this in, and the computer's like, right, driver, go get.
Yeah, like ideally, I think like the only situation I've used that in is like I was on the road and with my laptop or something, and like put it in there because you're not connected to the internet and it wasn't a laptop yet or something.
Yeah.
Just a little fun here. The rest of the best-selling games in order for 2017 are Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, NBA 2K18, which also came out fairly recently, Madden NFL 18.
Yeah, those always do really well, though.
The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 has been out for like 4 years now, guys. Let's stop. For Honor.
I'm surprised on that one. I thought people stopped talking about that like a month after it came out.
Me too. Horizon Zero Dawn. Injustice 2. And Mass Effect Andromeda.
It's on some list somewhere.
Congrats, guys.
Yeah.
All right, next up, again, in the wake of last week's podcast, we were talking about the death of single-player games. What does it mean after Visceral had gotten destroyed and the Star Wars game was moving to another studio to be reworked?
At EA made an announcement about how multiplayer games were like what their focus was.
Yeah, so Ex-Visceral Dev calls the death of single-player fears totally absurd. And his quote here is, "The assertion that single-player linear games are going to disappear is totally absurd. EA might not be the company that carries that torch, but there are many groups out there that are passionate about this kind of game that it won't go away. Personally, I'd like to see fewer games with higher quality across the board, which is probably what will happen. There's also a case that single-player linear is a term without a concrete definition. Everyone agrees that Last of Us is single-player linear, but what about BioShock? What about Dishonored? Where does the line blur between single-player linear and immersive sim and open world? It's a gradient of possibilities, not just one type of thing. We're also going to continue to see developments and production pipelines that will dramatically reduce the cost of asset generation, which will benefit everyone. There's no one single narrative that can be derived from this event other than games are incredibly difficult to make, and the fact that any game or movie gets it made at all is cause for celebration."
Amen, brother.
I think about that sometimes, just that last quote where I'm just like, we'll watch a movie and we'll be like, piece of shit, and it's like people poured hundreds of hours of their lives into this thing, and like the fact that they made
orchestration
a product at all,
moving thousands of people together to get this thing done correctly is a sheer miracle.
Yeah, and people just take one look at it and they're like, fucking low res garbage.
Well, like a movie studio could probably run a country, like orchestrate all government, how to get everyone food and all that kind of shit with master planning, and we're sitting there just going, how dare you make one line that wasn't emotionally stirring.
That's not canon.
Yeah, but I mean, like on the single player thing, it was my exact thought as well, because I mean, like games that are out there currently, they're not overwhelmed by online playing games. It's just an alternative. So there's this really great video out there. I should actually post it up onto the page on Twitter about esports and how like that's taking over and that's the world. But inside of this, there's a really cool lady who did a whole entire master's or PhD thesis on esports and what that meant, right? And talking about how like some people use esports as that thing between a game where they're in this one game, but then suddenly there's this drop off from playing World of Warcraft, suddenly you're playing StarCraft, etc. Right? Like we transition between what we want at a time. Like I throw on fucking Overwatch, which is a massive multiplayer non-linear game. to kill 20 minutes when I have a 20-minute game period, because turning on Battle Chasers right now means I gotta be like, all right, I got 5 hours.
Yeah, that's not a game where you turn on for 5 minutes of fun.
Yeah, and then in contrast to that, for games coming up and that have come out, we've had Horizon Zero Dawn, we've had Evil Within, we've had, we're having, or have currently today, Wolfenstein, Mario,
Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed, thank you. Which I know is also open world, but still single player, not meant to be online.
Well, this whole second middle paragraph I read about that kind of fucks me up a little bit. Like, what do you mean? Like, I count the open world and immersive sim. I count that all as single player.
Yeah, I don't care if it's linear or not. And
like,
also,
I thought the conversation being had at the time was games as service, things that are living creatures like Destiny or The Division or something. And then everything else that's single player only, whether it be Grand Theft Auto,
and that's my split in my head.
Uncharted,
right?
Yeah.
Because like even then, single player linear, like Horizon Zero Dawn is an open world without a doubt.
Yeah.
But that game plays out very linear. Like you have to do things in order.
Yeah, like it's not. There's no optional like. Yeah. You can't complete the game in 500 different ways or something. No. It's like no, there's a main like critical path, and the rest of it is you can go over there.
Like classic Fallout, that's as open world as I would imagine, because you literally just make up the game as you complete it.
Yeah, but even that there's a critical path. Like,
yeah, and. Fucking Skyrim.
Yep.
Yeah. But even then, again, like you can't play with other people. Like there's no other human being interacting with you.
Yeah, that second one kind of fucks me up. But like the rest of it, yeah, like that's kind of where I was. I was kind of leaning towards him seeing fewer games with higher quality across the board, and EA's probably not going to be the one to like carry the single player torch. That's probably completely true.
Yeah. And who cares? EA owns a lot of other companies. Like EA owns BioWare, but BioWare is not going to not make another fucking Mass Effect or some other great single player game. Anthem may be their first online multiplayer game they make, right? Which is like, okay, sure, they've made.
Well, they made what's that fucking Star Wars game everyone loved?
Yeah. Oh, KOTOR.
KOTOR, yes.
Knights of the Old Republic. But they're currently working on the next Dragon Age Inquisition. You know,
yes.
Like that's a single player game. It'll never be an online game. They're not making Dragon Age Online.
I'll splice this exact quote when Dragon Age 4 gets revealed as a games as service model. Go hunt online with your fucking dragon friends and
they'll release a
loot boxes.
Let me clarify that. They will probably make a Dragon Age, because there's a lot of different Dragon Ages, right? Like there's the original Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age blah blah blah, right? Dragon Age Inquisition was the latest story in the Dragon Age universe. Like they'll keep making those, but they probably will make some online version of Dragon Age
probably
in the world. Yeah, probably.
I would imagine.
But I mean, it's like everyone always fears when a company makes some sort of grand statement, and I understand EA has all the things.
I mean, again, I just think that's kind of I just think that's kind of the way that like the industry is going right now. I think maybe we see a couple less single player games, but I don't think that the Uncharted's are going away or The Last of Us is. I don't think we're gonna get another Horizon Zero Dawn, and I bet it's not gonna have loot boxes or anything. No. So yeah, I think that kind of stuff's fine. It's just probably the smaller ones that'll go away. Middle tier.
Well, even then, I mean, look at fucking Cuphead and all the other shit, right? There's all sorts of games that are coming out in smaller developers, and they focus mainly on single-player content. Networking's fucking hard to code.
Your dick. Quit licking your dick, Mike. That was for my dog.
That was for his
just
dog.
So everyone knows.
Yes.
And right now on Kotaku.com, there's a great article by Jason Schreier. Ya boy, Jason Schreier. The collapse of Visceral's ambitious Star Wars game. Give that a Google. Fantastic article if you want to read about like what happened behind the scenes there. He got a bunch of anonymous sources to like tell the tale, and it's some interesting stuff. So
Jason Schreier is a reporter, right?
Yes, he's the one who also wrote about the collapse of Mass Effect Andromeda.
Right.
That behind the scenes thing. It was really good.
People always freak out when it comes down to collapses like this kind of stuff. Like with Andromeda, when that happened, everyone's like, "We'll never see Mass Effect again." With this collapses, and we're like, "We'll never see Star Wars the way we want." I feel Star Wars, because it's so such a heavy IP owned like by particular companies that are very financially driven, like EA and Disney and stuff, probably will be more of a struggle to get a single player version of Star Wars out anytime soon, if not in the next decade.
I see, like, personally, if I was a Star Wars fan, that's like what I would really want to see. Like,
but that's what they all want. They all fucking want it, right? Like, just like
there was another one that got canceled a couple years back. Star Wars 1313.
Yeah.
Star Wars fans can't catch a break.
That looked really great too. Yeah, like they all look really good. I mean, fuck. One of the favorite Star Wars games of all time, next to Knights of the Old Republic, was Force Unleashed.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, those games were cool.
They were great.
Yeah. All right, last story for the newsy news. Johnny Young Bosch gets asked about DMC5 and hilarity ensues. So he made an appearance. If you don't know, this is, I guess, fucking Dante's voice actor. Nero's voice actor? He's someone's voice actor from Devil May Cry. I don't know.
He's a blonde guy with a sword.
Oh, no, he's Nero. Yeah, he's Nero's voice actor. He made an appearance at the Manchester Comic Con in August. Among the pile of questions, he was asked about DMC5 being a reality or not. His body language and facial expressions were so obvious that people burst out laughing the moment after. Oh, and that was basically a stealth non-confirmation confirmation right there, fellas. Here's the snippet. And then I'll link the video. So what happens in the video is just someone asks him, hey, there's been rumors about Devil May Cry 5, is it happening or not? And he kind of just like holds the mic, puts his tongue in his cheek, and goes like, just a lot of silence, and he goes like, and then he just kind of smiles, and then the person ushers him off, like whoever is in charge of the panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
there's nothing to read into this. He just doesn't want to wreck his career, because if he says no, everyone's going to be like, why would you debunk this? We're making money off of the sheer fervor everyone has on this.
I feel
and then
like
if he said yes, then he'd be like, of course, revealing something he's not allowed to reveal.
I feel like this could be something.
No.
I feel like it could be something.
No.
Let me play devil's advocate here. Why wouldn't he just say no?
Again, right? He has no power to announce anything. Saying no?
Yeah.
Unless the company says to say no, and they will. They'll tell you exactly. It's like, if anyone asks you, do not answer.
Yeah, okay, so that means it's being made.
No.
If he wasn't on any game, if he's not being anywhere, like, and someone...
Sorry, straws are grasping.
No, if I'm trying to use a real low-level thing here. If I was hired by McDonald's, and I was making their secret sauce at some point, and I had no NDA signed or whatever, and I leave the company, and I'm like, yeah, here's what's in the Big Mac sauce. Come. It's just come. Like, someone's asked me what it is, like, I can say yes or no. I'm not under any,
Well, if you didn't sign anything, but he did.
How do we know that?
Oh, fuck, come on.
I mean, Devil May Cry 4 was...
So what?
10 years ago?
There's also... Okay, so let's just say by some non-existent chance that he didn't agree to not talk about stuff behind, like, after he's done working, right? Which he did. If I'm going to come out and suddenly start talking about a game that I'm working on, like this off in the distance, and suddenly reveal everything, everyone's going to know that you're the voice actor that revealed the answer to the one thing that like, you'd be the leaker guy, right? So you can't say yes or no. Confirming or not confirming means that you've made an announcement on behalf of a company.
That doesn't matter. You can say no. You can say, no, I don't know of any project like that. I'm not involved in anything like that at this time.
That would have been the better response, is to be like, I don't know what's going on. I'm not involved, right? But at the same time, you got to play your career up on it, right? If you sit back and go...
he has quite the career. I just went to his IMDb page to check this out to see if I was gonna say, okay, if he has nothing else going on, yeah, he probably wants to hold on to whatever little he's got. But he's in tons of shit every year.
Yeah, so it's got to maintain that career. If you sit back and you say, like, oh, I'm not going to be involved in that, that can be literally taken by the industry as being like, I'm not involved.
Why won't you let me fill your dark soul with light? Why will you not fucking let me?
Because it's not happening.
It's happening, folks. And what else is happening is After Dark segment, where I'm going to talk about Spider-Man Homecoming, Annabelle Creation, Creep 2, and something else. I forget what the last one is. And Mike's going to talk about Star Trek Discovery being gay. Which is very exciting.
It is very exciting, actually.
And Mindhunter and Stranger Things. So stay tuned for that.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
Welcome back to the After Dark segment, featuring the dulcet tones of your hosts, Couch and Mike. Here's where we talk about what we've been reading, watching, playing.
So who's gonna go first? You're gonna go first?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
So Cal's gonna go first. We're gonna go over what we're watching, and what have you been watching, Cal?
Spider-Man: Homecoming.
You watched the Homecoming.
Finally saw it.
I have not.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be real spoiler free in this mini review here. This is one of my favorite superhero movies I've seen in the last couple years, anyways. I think. I'd be hard pressed to like name them all, but like I enjoyed it. Upon second viewing, I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 much more.
I actually liked it less.
It was surprising to me, but I was actually like a little hotter on it coming out of that one the second time. But Spider-Man Homecoming is great. It shows Peter Parker being Peter Parker for the first time. There's no mix. I think me and you have talked about this a lot. I thought Tobey Maguire was a good Peter Parker, but but a subpar Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I thought Andrew Garfield was not a good Peter Parker, but a great Spider-Man. What Tom Holland does is he mixes the two together, and probably due to writing too. It's not all his credit, but he does a fucking fantastic job embodying that character and being. It seems way more natural with him being a Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, that's Spider-Man's story that was more interesting because, you know, like, to be honest, Spider-Man was never the most interesting character. He was always on grand adventures, but there was nothing Spider-Man himself that was too outstanding.
Well, I think he was always the most relatable of Marvel characters, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's
because
why
he was a kid going to school and he had to deal with like regular problems.
And his social life seemed to always be talked about and impacted more. Like Mary Jane getting impacted emotionally and understanding what it was like to be a partner of a superhero, getting back in time to make sure that you got eggs to your aunt, and you know, like the sheer responsibility, and everyone else being let down all the time by him being a hero and taking this great responsibility on and stuff like that. Like that was far more relatable because you never really thought about that. You know, like Superman goes out there, saves the world, makes sure Lois Lane doesn't fall off another building, and the day's done. And she's always just been so supportive of him throughout the entire fucking series. And she's always just like, hooray, I get some Kryptonian dick. Like, it's really not...
Kryptonian dick?
Yeah. It's never been more than that, though. But, like, with Spider-Man, it was like, right, like, if I was tomorrow as a kid to become a superhero, I would have to, you know, still get eggs for mom, and, you know, I'd still have to be sure my homework's done.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, that's why Spider-Man is so endearing, right?
So, I mean, making the movie more focused on that, certainly. Right.
And he is, and I think, and like, it focuses way more on him being Peter Parker than Spider-Man a lot of times. All the worries about it becoming the Tony Stark and Spider-Man movie or whatever, like he was going to be in it too much. He's really not. He's in there a little bit at the beginning, a little bit in the middle, and a little at the end. Like he's in there just enough. And Spider-Man's whole arc is kind of in that movie around like it's after Civil War, and he's like waiting to be a real Avenger, right? Like the whole thing is like he's like, I'm ready for the next amount of responsibility. I want to be an Avenger. I want to get called on the next mission. And he's just sitting around like waiting for Tony Stark's assistant there, Happy, Jon Favreau, to call him and be like, hey, it's the next but like they're busy doing other shit, so like they're obviously not calling him, right? So that's a huge part of the arc. So it wasn't just like, hey, here's fucking Tony Stark to randomly come in and interfere or something.
Yeah.
It was good. There's that shot in the trailers and then like I think on a poster of like Spider-Man swinging and Iron Man flying right beside him. Doesn't even happen. It's not even in the movie.
That was
which I like.
No, I know. I was kind of expecting that myself because, you know, as much as everyone bitched and was like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. trying to get it on every film. I don't think it's him trying to get in every film. I think it's his popularity makes everyone want him. A little bit from column A, a little bit from column B.
I mean, I believe he wanted it to make, $3 extra billion that day. But,
yeah. But I'm glad he's not in it a ton, and he's probably just Iron Man as per usual.
No, yeah, he has a good role. Everything's totally cool. I think the villain in this movie is probably one of the better ones in the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I kept hearing that too. I kept hearing, oh, Vulture's really good as a villain. Vulture's really good as a villain. And I was like, and I was watching it in the first quarter of the movie. I was like, he seems pretty fucking typical. Like he seems like fine. It's not, it's not like evil Spider-Man like Venom is or something, right? It's not. He is the flying man, I guess. That's fine. But like they add this wrinkle about 3/4 of the way through the movie, and you're like, oh. Okay, and like it kind of changes everything, and you're like, okay, cool. And even at the very end of the movie, there's another small wrinkle that like makes you be like, he's a lot different than a lot of these Marvel villains.
There were multiple villains in this, though, weren't there?
No, there's Shocker's in it. Yeah, but he's such a small part. Yeah. He's like one of the Vulture's lackeys.
Wasn't there like the Toy Master, Game Master, or something like that?
No.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Everyone kept on hypothesizing about all these different villains.
There was I don't even know. This isn't a spoiler, I guess.
Well, there's like 2 Shockers at the end of the day or something, right? Because there's a tech guy.
Okay, spoilers for Spider-Man Homecoming. Minor spoilers about a character who appears. If you don't want to know, skip ahead into the timestamps are down below or in the description. Just go ahead. I'll stop talking about Spider-Man after this. McGargan is in it, who is Scorpion. He's not Scorpion yet. Yeah. He's just there, and he's in a post-credit scene. And yes, there are 2 Shockers. There's one who is like, I guess he actually is the original Shocker's name. He dies instantly. Yeah. Like and then it's it's other dude.
Yeah, okay.
And he's the real Shocker.
Yeah, and it was Donald Glover, right?
No, Donald Glover was not Shocker. No. He was trying to buy like the Shocker equipment.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing with that too. Actually,
Okay.
You gotta go see this movie.
I'll watch it.
It's out now, so you should watch it.
Yeah, and I'm going to watch this one. Like, it was one of the ones I was actually going to watch. Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the last thing I'll say about it. Is like I wasn't like super hyped on Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like okay, it's out. I'll see it now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and totally like I don't want to say it blew me away, but it is one of the better ones in the last couple of years. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the fact that you're even hooked and drawn in, like I was saying, right? Like, you turn them on nowadays, and you're like, I don't expect to feel anything about this. And then...
Yeah, and I was really like endeared by just Tom Holland as Spider-Man, even in Civil War, right? That brief bit you get of him, it's fucking perfect. So
yeah. Awesome.
All right.
I'm glad it turned out so well. I'm glad it actually, like, it was the thing. Like, if you came back and said, like, meh, I would have been like, okay, this is sitting in the back of the bin.
I was really expecting it to be less than it was. Like, I thought it would be very average, like, fun, but whatever.
Yeah. All right. So, on to me next, I guess. So, I've been watching a lot of TV. Netflix has been churning it out like hardcore for October.
Netflix has been so good this year.
It's been so fucking
good.
So good. There's so many good ones. But the most recent good one that I've been watching is Mindhunter. So for anyone who doesn't know what Mindhunter is, it's I guess you'd almost call it a mockumentary, but not really.
Not really.
It's a fake telling, more dramatized telling of how the FBI created the Behavioral Science Unit, which is the unit in the FBI which created the first ever profile of how to find pattern killers, which was eventually deemed serial killers to other types of killers as well. And this was in order to stop them before they happened, so we had a psychological profile to understand why and how and where in their patterns. And they did this by actually interviewing, honest-to-God, serial killers, some of the big ones. Excuse me. Always was actually kind of an interesting subject matter to myself, which drove me to it, because usually, like, in the previous podcast, you guys probably read, like, I'm not much of a crime drama to, that kind of slow burn drama TV series. Mm-hmm. This is fucking genius written. And gorgeously shot. It's, David Fincher, and it's finched through. It's a finch, like it's been hardcore finched.
It's hard. Yes, it is a hardcore finch.
Yeah, and definitely in tones and looks and stuff like that. I actually would say my only negative with Mindhunter is I never liked Jonathan Groff as the main character. I just fucking hate.
I've heard that. I've heard a lot of people not liking either his acting, or just the type of character he's supposed to be playing.
If it was just the type of character he was playing, we were supposed to be playing up where we were supposed to be non-endearing, that'd be fine. If I'm supposed to be feeling like I don't like him, but there were too many scenes in the middle of the entire season that were these buddy cop moments and like really about the group and the team bonding and stuff, where you're supposed to be liking everyone. Even though he was still playing kind of like this annoying upstart character, he was just annoying. And I never bonded with him. And it's not a spoiler in any fashion, the last episode was the only time where I felt it finally. And there is this one scene that happens at the end that's just very strong, a fucking incredible scene. Like, my skin crawled and I was so on edge. And that was the only time where I was really blown away with him and his acting, but it was like 5 minutes at literally the end of the episode. Nothing about him ever stuck. However, I'm forgetting the actress's name, but she looks a lot like the one who's playing Hela right now, Cate Blanchett.
Oh, yeah.
But she used to be the main character on Fringe. Fucking love her. She's incredible. And also his buddy cop buddy. Like, those two. And he almost runs the show, even though he's not on camera the whole entire time. But aside from that, from the actual show, the composition of the show, you get so excited for them to go and interview these serial killers. And when they are talking to them, the interviews are fucking cool. Like, it's intense and it's so crazy. And these guys don't play it up like fucking Hannibal from Silence of the Lambs, where they're like sitting there going, "Oh, I'm evil and I have scary voice." Like, not to put this down, because I mean, obviously Hannibal and
Nice bottle of Chianti.
Yeah, like one of the greatest fucking movies and the greatest roles ever, and he did a mastercraft job at that. But everyone afterwards has played serial killers the same way, right? Some of these guys just sound like people, but when the best part about it is, like, with a serial killer, most of them don't really even understand that they're doing that. They just think it's correct, right? These guys are like talking like whatever. They're just working class Joes who work in a mill or something, but they killed 6 girls. It didn't seem like it was the wrong thing to do, kind of stuff. Like, it was just included in their day. Like, really kind of off-putting with it. Really well done. So well written. Excellent drama. I would highly recommend the entire series. To go binge watch it right now. It's the best drama on Netflix I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the first episode. I really want to watch the rest. I just haven't had the time.
It's
I say as I watched 4 other movies this week.
very good. I'm gonna put it on your list.
And exactly. I've only seen the first episode, and I can say go watch it.
If I would give it like quick high point, low point. High point is everything again, like I said, to do with the serial killers. That's definitely its key high point. Dialogue drama, definitely best parts. Lowest part, Jonathan Groff, who is the main character, which is kind of sucky. Also, it does burn slowly, so if you're not into that, I wouldn't jump in. But the thing is it's always that air of tension, so it never really loses you if you give in to it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to compare it to like Mad Men exactly, but like the story,
sort of,
the story at times, even in the first episode, it almost seemed like it didn't have a story. It was just like, here's some scenes of things happening, giving you the general vibe of like what is going on.
If you didn't know the historical significance of creating the behavioral science unit and what that did in creating this manual that is now literally the standard for how to profile a serial killer, and the impact that has had, you could go into the show and be like, well, what are they doing and what's the point, right? And that is actually the other low point for it, is because Jonathan Groff's role is so weak, or not weak, he's so weak in that role because his role is actually quite good. His drive to want to make this is never really very clear, right? Like, again, this is not a spoiler, but when in the FBI and in like major security organizations, when they go and they deal and interview and talk to psychologically damaged people, they have a whole manual on how to make sure that you don't get fucked up by it, right? Like, that's the whole premise of Silence of the Lambs, is that she gave a little piece of personal info and then suddenly he latched onto her, and then they had that weird bond, and like that was fucked her up and everything, right? They have all sorts of like psychological tests now to make sure that doesn't fuck you up and all this kind of stuff. And you can see like in the beginning they're working through that whole measure with him, and it's clearly part of the whole progress of the story. I had no clue anything was affecting him like through most of it, you know. The other characters were showcasing.
I wonder if he's just like, is he a good actor in other stuff?
Well, he was in Glee for a while, and he was like the asshole boyfriend. He can fucking sing, that's for sure. And he has been in other stuff, and he has been a major actor on Broadway shows and highly acclaimed for it for years.
Do you think it's maybe just the way, the direction they wanted to put his character, and he's just, that's how he's supposed to be acting, and it just wasn't a great character to have as the main?
Yeah, I feel like it was two lost communications. I think like the director was coming up and being like, you're going to be playing this guy who's almost emotionless. Like he comes from a really white bread, like stiff home, and he's getting this insight into this world of like destruction and nastiness and darkness, but he's going to be acting like nothing affects him, and he's going to be like, okay, but like there's an entire sense of turmoil you're supposed to be communicating as an actor when you get that instruction. I think Jonathan just took it off to being like just cold and never let out the rest. So there are episodes where he does, but the majority of them he doesn't, which makes him kind of just not likable.
Again, only having seen the first episode, I didn't hate him or anything, but I also wasn't like super into him. I was just kind
of never hated him. I never hated him. The show is too strong, and the writing is too good, and the character role is written too well to make him a bad character. Jonathan just doesn't do a good job in comparison to the fact that everyone around him is fucking insanely good. You know, like, if he was in there and he was with another bunch of other actors at the same level, he would be really good, because everyone else around him is just shitting on his grave, like, and then spitting on him and laughing at him and like making sure he never ever works again. Like, they're doing such a fucking amazing job that he looks so much worse.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah,
poor guy.
He just doesn't compare. Like, these other actors are also like seasoned and just so good at their craft, and then he's not. You know, like, he's come from Glee.
Yeah, not my immediate, like, oh, the guy from Glee, yeah. Going to the serial
He should be the one who's going to do the Psycho Killer show.
God.
Yeah.
You just couldn't cut it, Johnny.
Nope.
Okay, next up, Happy Death Day.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I just realized what movie that was. That's the one with the girl who keeps reliving the same day?
So this is Groundhog Day, but a serial killer.
Did this go straight to DVD?
No, this was in theaters.
Oh, you saw it in theaters?
Yeah, I went to
theaters. Fuck.
Yeah, I went to theaters.
You went to a theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fancy that.
Yeah.
So yeah, this movie is the Groundhog Day formula. Dude, she keeps waking up and repeating the exact same day. Yeah. So we have Groundhog Day now, and then we have The Edge of Tomorrow, which is Groundhog Day sci-fi, and now we have Groundhog Day horror. Now we just need a bunch of other Groundhog Day genres.
Yeah.
So Happy Death Day is a ton of fun. Oh yeah, like it's like 90 minutes. It is just a good time. You watch this girl die in a multitude of ways. None of them are ever too gory. I think this is PG-13 or something. But you really get like hooked into like, okay, who the fuck is it? You know, because they do the usual thing of like, okay, here's like 7 different characters they've shown in her day when it's going on. Who do you think it is? And it does a pretty good job of like laying some red herrings, and then as you're figuring it out as the movie is like figuring it out too, and you kind of like wipe that off the board. The movie seems to forget it's a horror movie at some point. Like it's not. They do like one attempt at a jump scare and then just never again, and then there's no atmosphere or dread. It's a lot more like fun to me than it is scary at all or horror.
I kind of played that out like that though. I wasn't expecting jump scares. I was expecting more of like a happy-go-lucky slasher.
That's what it is. Like I mean, it's not happy-go-lucky. She's going through shit,
no, but
it
you know
is
what
like
I mean.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it totally is. Like it's it just doesn't try to be a horror movie at all. It doesn't really feel like it is just this premise with a serial killer, you know. But ton of fun, some stuff you don't see coming, and then when by the time you figure it out, you're like, oh, okay. So it's a good use of your time, I think, if you're into those kind of movies. It's not high art or anything. You're not gonna leave that being like, wow, my life is fucking changed.
Do you like the main character? Did you like her?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I loved her. She was great. I thought she did a really good job of being a character that you totally fucking hate, and then by the end of the movie, you're like, I would love to see you keep living.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Because at first you're like, yeah, I want you to die 900 times in a row. But yeah, and like to get out of this day, she needs to find out who her killer is and all this stuff. And yeah, just a fun little premise.
There's probably some of the stereotypical stuff for like redoing the day where she's like, I don't give a shit anymore. I always reset.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
It's in the trailer. This isn't really a spoiler, but like they even do a montage of her doing a couple different stuff every day. And there's one where she walks out like naked. And it's like in the trailer that is overlaid with like sometimes you gotta like you relive the same day a million times to find out who you really are, and like even in the context of the movie, it like makes no sense that she would walk out naked that day, and you're just like, this is a weird waste of a 9-second scene. It almost just seemed like we need to shoot this for the trailer, or something. There was a nude woman in it, but it's a lot of fun. I would highly recommend watching it if you're into those type of movies.
Sure. Yeah. I'm always down for kind of a fun slasher. I mean, Jed's not the biggest fun slasher guy, even though I don't think I've shown him the good ones. Like, he still hasn't... I haven't seen... He hasn't seen, like, Krampus and all those kind of, like, more goofy...
Yeah, and that's kind of, like, in this vibe.
Yeah.
It's just, like... It's just kind of, like, trashy fun.
Yeah, the kind of what was, like, initiated by Gremlins back in the day.
Yeah, just totally that kind of vibe. It's a good time. I was really pleasantly surprised by it. It was kind of what I was hoping it would be, but not expecting it to be.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so next, what I've been watching every week, as per usual, I think I actually have 2 episodes to update, but I'm not sure, is Star Trek Discovery. It's fucking just killing it. Such a fucking good show. Like, I don't understand why people are disliking this thing at all. It baffles me.
I've only seen good things said about it, really.
I had a few people who have been like, it's not Star Trek, and I'm like, I'm sorry, the sets aren't plastic, and it's like fucking utopian perfect. No one believes it anymore. I'm sorry. And even then, it's still utopian perfect. It's just got the gritty underbelly that we need to believe it, right? I mean, I don't really need to tell anything about the story-wise. I just want to hit on the points that were really impressive for what happened. In Star Trek, the world's always been this fancy, fluffy utopian world where everything's accepted and everyone's loved. And they have covered race in Star Trek over and over again since way back in the day when it was shocking and had the first black woman have a kiss on screen, right? So race was tackled, but they never covered a lot of sexuality. They had lots of relationships, but there was no boy on boy, no girl on girl. Sort of at times. There was a little bit of one in Deep Space Nine, but they covered it up with like the alien symbiote has no sex. There's like a whole species of symbiotes, and they have like an alien slug that lives in there and transfers memories every lifetime to a new host. So like the previous host was male and was married to the other host, so they both remembered each other in their other sexes, but they met up again and they're both women. So it was like, you're not really gay in that sense, then you're just remembering having a penis. Like, I don't know. Like it didn't feel like they covered it.
That was an amazing out of context quote. Like, you're not really gay then, you just remember having a penis. Like, what could this phrase possibly be talking about?
You just splice it into the very beginning of the episode.
That'd make a perfect end segment part.
So in this episode, they did a couple of things. First, they dropped the first Star Trek F-bomb. They've never said any swearing in Star Trek whatsoever, not even shit.
Too far. Cancel it.
Yeah, done. Obviously, not good anymore. But they did it in such a great comedic moment. Like, they have this really fun, goofy character as the main character's best friend, and they're doing all this, like, Star Trek science, which is just, like, fucking made up just
gobbledygook.
wonderful gobbledygook that is so believable. And they're talking about all this fancy science, and she just goes looking at all this coolness and goes, "This is so fucking cool." And they all pause and look at her, and then the main scientist, who has always been this really stuck-up kind of character, looks over at her and goes, it is fucking cool." You know, and we had, like, it made a good laugh, and we're like, oh, the first F-bomb. But big cap is at the end of that episode, and it's a big point that I really enjoyed, was, especially as a gay man myself, the engineer character, the stuck-up scientist character, goes through a whole turmoil, and at the end scene, turns out the doctor and him are a relationship. They're a partner. So it's the first acknowledged 100% gay couple in Star Trek. To anyone's knowledge out there who doesn't know, for some reason, Star Trek is gay crack. Every single homosexual out there I know fucking loves Star Trek. But we've never been in Star Trek. Especially gay men. We fucking love Star Trek. I think it's even a profile option that's just built into most apps.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you creating a new stereotype on the fly right now?
It's fucking self-fulfilling.
The gays like Star Trek?
It's totally true. So yeah, just to see them, it was like when I saw it without my partner first. He was in Spain or Italy, whatever. Italy. Torino's in Italy. Yes.
He was actually in Italy town. Now look at you. He was at the spaghetti factory.
He was just playing Mario. Anyways, and I saw it, and I was really hit by it because, like, as a kid watching Star Trek and loving every single character and wanting to be in that world, I was like, what would it mean to be gay in Star Trek world when no one talks about this stuff, right? And everyone's like, oh, well, they don't need to talk because everyone accepts sexuality. And I'm like, well, then why isn't there just a husband couple on the ship somewhere, right?
Why didn't Spock fuck Kirk?
Even though we've all wanted to, and we've written that thing many times. But to see them made a huge impact on me. But the big one for me was watching the episode again with Jed, and he saw it. He even got a little welled up because, like, he's older than me, and we both remember a time where it just was never okay, and we never thought we'd ever see it on TV. But to have it in one of the most core shows that supported me when I was young, when I was feeling down and awful, and everything was against me. You know, like, Star Trek was this utopian world where everything was accepted no matter what you were.
This is like if I was gay and I was watching Ninja Turtles, and, like, they were like, oh yeah, Raph, huge gay.
Yeah.
And like, you're like, oh.
Yeah, totally. It could be for any show. Like, when you're watching a show that you've loved so long that never, ever connected with you as a person because it never showcased you, right? And it's a big thing to have. So, you know, huge kudos to Star Trek Discovery for covering that. As for the rest of the shows and the subject matter, as per usual every week, is fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I've seen only good things said about it. I'm surprised. I guess you probably hang out.
It's
like,
just a Trekkie,
more hardcore Star Trek
Trekkie fans that are sitting back going like, "Oh, it's too J.J. Abrams." And I'm like, just fucking deal with it. This is what Star Trek is now.
Do you think there's like Star Wars fans like that too? There must be, right?
They're so worse.
Yeah, like the Force Awakens is like they probably think it's trash or
Oh
something.
yeah. They think every single new Star Wars movie is just a piece of shit. And they're so pissed off their fucking side canon that was all made by the comic books and games and shit got wiped out.
I can almost understand the side canon being wiped out, like, as... Like, I can see that being, like, a blow to you. But at the same time, it's not like in the movies they were ever going to be like, oh, God, no, it's robot spider Darth Maul, like, coming over. Like, that happened in the side canon, but, like, it was never going to show up. Like, were you just watching with the firm acknowledgement in your mind, like, he exists somewhere, like, you know, and now they're like, well, yeah, he doesn't actually exist, and now you're watching these movies where he was never going to appear anyways, and you're like... doesn't exist, you know.
They
like
just have like a scene really quickly where they clip over and he's like making a nest in the web and laying eggs.
Yes,
and you're like, yes, perfect, great.
Little baby malls, bursted eggs. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's on one sense, it doesn't make any difference that now it's not canon, you know.
No, and now you have a new canon, a whole new universe of people and characters to explore. Explore them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. It's weird that it would make you angry.
I also think there's a part of like the self-fulfilling story, just like with like Rick and Morty fans who are far too fucking intense with making up all that side canon based on like a single photograph in the background image. Like, you get to make up this story and you believe it's so true inside of that universe, but the new Star Wars stuff is trying very hard to cover all the stories, like they did with Rogue Story?
Rogue One.
Rogue One. And they actually covered how the Bothan thing and the message got out and all that shit. Like, that story's now officially told, which means all of those made-up stories that you made got completely debunked, right, and aren't true. So I can understand, like, that almost a sense of loss of creativity.
Yeah, that one I can understand because it was, like, a thing that, like, happened in between movies, and it's like, you theorize about it.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, something like Spider Darth Maul or the Tales from the Cantina, it's like, you were never going to see that shit anyway, so it was never going to appear on screen. Like, why does it matter?
Don't worry about it.
The stories are still good on their own, and they're over there. You can still go back and read them.
Yep.
It's fine. Watch something we made non-canon in Venom, and I'm just going to fucking have a tantrum on this podcast. I'm like, they didn't do the thing! Okay.
What, he didn't fight a T-Rex?
I can only hope we get to, like, Venom 6, where they're like, nothing else to do. Here's a Venom T-Rex. Okay. I've watched this week also Creep 2. Creep 2 is the sequel to Creep.
Which was Creep? Which one?
Fantastic. I know. Creep was with Mark Duplass.
Is that the one with the big bat thing with the, like, face, and it's like, it wears a coat? Is that Creep?
That's Jeepers Creepers.
That's Jeepers Creepers.
That's Jeepers Creepers.
Okay. You see where I got that mixed up?
Yes,
I have a tie.
very, very similar. Creep 1 is a found footage movie. And that guy hires another guy to, like, document him for a certain amount of time. And the whole movie, you're trying to figure out what this guy's motives are. Like, he seems creepy, but, like, he's not really, like, a bad guy. He's friendly and he's nice, but he keeps doing, like, kind of weird, off-putting things. Sorry, there might be spoilers for Creep in here. Creep 1. But, you know, as things keep going, you start learning that he's a little fucked up, and he starts sending him, like, DVDs with, like the guy's house on and shit, and you're just like, oh, okay, this guy's, like, really fucked up. And in the end, he ends up murdering him.
Yeah.
And it's a really good, like, slow build to, like, what's gonna happen. Like, Mark Duplass plays a really, like, kind of just a creep. Like, he plays this kind of, like, off-putting guy. So Creep 2 is I think, a really good sequel, because at first when this got announced, I was like, what, are they gonna do the fucking same thing again? He's gonna hire someone else and he's gonna do the whole thing over again? Like, it's gonna be the exact same thing with a different person? No. Straight out the gate.
Is it found footage again?
Found footage again. These movies are not beautiful by any means. They're found footage. It's very, like, handheld, you know, like, whatever, right? But Creep 2, immediately, he hires someone. He's a serial killer who's in a rut, basically. Like, he doesn't have a passion for it anymore. Doesn't really know, like, he has always his calling. It's what he wanted to do. He hires this person to, like, document him, come over. And, straight up, within the first, like, 10 minutes of the movie, he's like, I'm a serial killer. He's like, this is what I do. And he explains, like, you know, he's like, I want you to have the documentary with, like, one of the greatest serial killers of all time. I've killed over 39 people, and here's, like, blah, 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 all this stuff. And she's like, okay. And she kind of doesn't believe him. She just thinks he's a weirdo, because she does this, like, YouTube video series of, like, odd people, I guess. And this movie just slowly watches him unravel as he doesn't, like, have a drive to kill anymore. And it's such an interesting sequel, because they did not do the same thing at all. And again, it's not really, like, a straight horror movie. Like, it's just, again, he's just so, like, he's just a little bit off. He's like a guy you wouldn't want to be in a room with, or on the seat next to a bus on or something. If he started talking to you, you'd be like, put the headphones in, like, turn away. Like, he's just a little off. And he even, like, he's funny sometimes. He's it's hard to explain. I almost think that, like, Creep could have, like, the next great, like, iconic serial killer, like, in the tier of Jason or Freddy or something. But he's not, like, iconic in the way that, like, you go watch him kill people. It's, like, delving into, like, what he is and, like, how he operates. And it's very just odd.
That's actually interesting to me, again, because, like, I love Mindhunter, so.
And it's such a cool, like, Creep 1, you're figuring out who he is. And it's like, okay, we didn't just rehash that again. We did a whole different thing with Creep 2. Like, I would love to see what a Creep 3 looks like now.
Cool.
With the way they're changing these sequels.
I'm interested. I'm actually interested. Like, I was just like, all right, whatever. But
and they're short. Like, watch Creep 1, see what you think of it, and yeah, watch Creep 2. Like, they're not a huge dedication of time or anything. Cool. But yeah, if you're into horror, like, this is just something so different. I think that it's worth a watch.
It was so the whole headphones thing. Like, gosh, how many of us have ever experienced that? I had actually had it on Thursday. I was downtown for a haircut and our meeting, or Wednesday. Sorry,
Wednesday.
I'm walking down the road, and I have wireless headphones, but they still, like, have things that, like, lines that go out, and so at least I wanted those too, because if they were just earbuds in my ear, you know, people are gonna see them, they're still gonna talk to you and think you're an asshole. I was like, make sure the wires are there.
Oh yeah.
I'm walking, and I hit. Anyone who doesn't know Ottawa, it's just a major downtown Bank Street cross intersection. And as I'm walking up, there's already like 5 people in front of me, 3 around me, maybe 1 behind me. And we all pile up at the edge, right before the edge of the road, before the light changes, and we're just waiting for the light to change. This one guy's up in front of me, and he just turns around and like very quickly scans the whole whole crowd, picks me, where I'm like, why did, and you know this, what the fuck is with me and then the fucking freaks?
Mike gets like just strange experiences all the time.
All the time. Is it something about being pretty?
I don't know.
I don't know. Like,
no, because like
I would think that like that would be intimidating.
So one time we ordered a pizza, and Mike always tells me these fucking stories about these like random Uber drivers, and I'm like, all right, like that seems like it's weird that you're getting so many, but like whatever. I kind of brush it off. I'm like, doesn't matter.
I ride a lot of Uber too, so.
And yeah, I'm like makes sense. Like there's weirdos, but like whatever, not a big deal. We order a pizza, and my dog starts barking, so I hold him, and I'm just like, can you go get the fucking pizza? And he's like, yeah. Goes and gets it. Opens the door. The guy immediately starts being racist. Yeah. Like not against Mike, but just talking about being racist against other people.
Yeah.
And it was just, and I was like listening, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on up there? Like, this is a crazy thing. And I swear, if I had opened the door, the guy probably just would have been like, it's $4.98, and like okay, well, bye. And it would have been like a totally normal interaction. But for some reason, Mike, who said nothing aside from hello, just gets bombarded with like. You're like,
I got beaten up.
You look like a face I can trust.
Yeah.
Don't you hate the Arabs? Like, no!
That's literally what it was. I don't know, fucking, why me? Anyways, it's just that's the headphone thing. I was just thinking about it. But yeah. Anyways, moving on. Next thing that I've been watching, as of today, what came out was the long-anticipated second season of Stranger Things, which Cal hasn't watched any of yet. Most of you probably haven't either, so I'm going to do zero spoilers on this, because, like, I was so excited about this that when I woke up, the first thing I did was turn it on. That's even how I even watched it. Like, I was so fucking excited for this.
Did you wait for Jed? Or does he care?
I should wait for Jed. But, anyways. So, just as an initial impressions, it's the same thing again, but just as addictive and fun. The characters are all still really great. They have introduced some new ones. Obviously, they have to grow on you. They were not going to be as attached as you were with the others. There's a little bit of a point of things in the beginning, which will be interesting to talk with everyone about afterwards, which I felt was a bit of a cheat, but I also understand why, as I got further in, why they did it. The one thing I will say is when I first turned it on, I hope everyone else kind of avoids this, why I even wanted to bring it up, because even though I can't talk about it very much, is like, I was turning this on and my expectations are fucking like, beep at the top of the register. Yeah. Fucking... Like, I'm like, this better be like as good as the first one and then better, right? Yeah. And everyone's like, it's just more of the same and that's all we really want. And that's really all I want, but I was just like holding it so high when I watched that first episode. I was like, I'm not feeling the Stranger Things vibe. This isn't as good. And then when the second one came on, I was suddenly like just over that, and then it just kicked in. The first episode probably isn't the strongest, but the whole key of a first episode is to draw you in to watch the next one, so that you get into the season.
Yeah, it's the premise for the season, right?
Yeah, like we're building you in. So I had to give it that lack. So the first one, I was like, so whatever you guys are doing out there when you're watching this show is to just not fine-tooth comb it like I did, because it did kind of wreck the first episode for me. And when I rewatch the season, I'll probably go back and be like, oh, it was a good episode. I was just being an asshole. Like, you know. So, but so far, excellent. And look forward to our full Stranger Things review after we both watched it all the way through.
Probably next week.
Probably next week.
Probably next week.
Yeah, probably.
I'm really trying to. I want to get it over by the weekend, basically.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be great. I just know it. I'm going to watch the rest of it tonight.
Okay, last thing. Been watching Annabelle Creation, the last spooky movie on the list.
The long side stream that came out of The Conjuring, or whatever the couple's name is there.
The Conjuring. This is a spin-off.
Yeah, so there's all the spin-offs from that. Because like they've had what? They've had the one with the nun. They've had two Annabelles now.
There's no nun one yet. No? Nun one is in development and hinted at in this movie. Oh. There's going to be spoilers for Annabelle Creation, so if you don't care, go down to the timestamps. Then move along with your life and go to the next segment.
Because I guarantee you, most of you actually care not.
Annabelle Creation, I believe the first words out of my mouth after it was over was like, competent but mundane. Like, it is... So this is also by...
very Siskel and Ebert of you.
It was... That's exactly what I thought was thinking the entire time. Like, so this is directed by David F. Sandberg, the guy who did Lights Out. Which you liked, and I didn't care for as much.
Wait, which one was Lights Out?
Lights Out was the one where you turn the light off and there's the monster.
Oh, I did like that one. I did like that. I mean, I didn't think it was fantastic, but I liked it.
Lights Out was another one where I would describe it as competent but mundane. Like, I thought everything was set up really well, but nothing. It was just boring throughout, and that's kind of what I felt like with Annabelle again.
See, I just couldn't find, excuse me, a doll scary. So.
Yeah. Well, neither did I.
Like some people find dolls creepy, sure, but I'm like, at the end of the day, it's just like Chucky. If it charges at you, just give it a boot.
So Annabelle is not a doll who moves.
No.
It's not like Chucky. She's not coming at you with a knife.
No.
The doll is just a house for a demon.
No.
So Annabelle 1 is super terrible. It was the first spin-off of the Conjuring movie franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Just god-awful. Just really not good at all. Total jump scare factory. Just constantly throwing jump scares at you is all really ineffective. The best scene in Annabelle 1 was actually, there's this one really great scene where she's in an elevator and it lingers on darkness for a really long time as she's trying to close the button, and you think something's going to come and it never does.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. It's the only good scene in that movie, I think. Anyways, Annabelle 2 is a much better movie. It's, I even like some of the characters, the two main girls, the sisters. I think they do a really great job of being, like, endearing and you want to see them live. But again, it's just so, like I was with my partner, and I was saying, like, okay, this is going to happen. That happened. Okay, I was like, this is going to happen. I would only be, like, slightly off, you know? I'd be like, okay, that's going to fall over.
Yeah, well, it was
There were very
predictable.
few, it was such a modern Hollywood horror film, I felt, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even throwing jump scares at you constantly or anything like that. They were trying to do these, like, atmospheric horror effects, and, like, you know, there's a scene where she has a little, like, gun and a ball with a string on the end of it,
Mm-hmm.
and she's shooting it into the darkness and reeling it back and, like, just trying to hit something, or, like, just to check if anything's there.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's probably the best scene in the movie, and it still was, like, very much like, okay, it's gonna go tight, and, like, it went tight, and you're like, okay, like, this is, and maybe it's just a symptom of, like, I've seen so many of these, maybe it's not the movie's fault. My partner was way more scared than I was, so
Yeah, well, that's what I mean too, right? Like, I mean, for you,
but that's why I enjoy things.
It wasn't horrifying, but there was such a dread in that film. I still had an enjoyment, even if it's still following along with a lot of those old tropes. It doesn't really matter because
See, the thing what it was, even though the horror wasn't working for me, I loved the fucking characters, loved the story.
Yeah, but even the dread
in Annabelle Creation, they were nice, they were competent, like they were okay characters, but I really wasn't into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even with the monster itself, there was a dread whenever it came, right? Because there were some scenes that were in there where you were like, ugh, right? And even as a horror enthusiast like we are, as long as it gets that, I still feel the sense of tension and the sense of fear, then I'm good, right? Because, like, again, like with it, like, none of the scares were like, bah, right? There was just a lot of sense of me going, like, kind of cringing in my chair.
I didn't feel much for that movie, like, scare-wise. I didn't think it really worked for me. But again, I feel like I'm an emotionless, like, cold stone robot when it comes to these things. I've seen it all so many times before, which is why things like Happy Death Day and Creep 2 are so much more fun to me.
Yeah.
Happy Death Day was this neat, like, twist on the formula, and it's like, oh, this is a fun way. I wasn't scared, but I was like, this is interesting to watch. And Creep 2 is just this kind of, like, slowly unsettling movie that, again, doesn't do anything that's, like, outright scary, but by the end of it, you're like, that was weird. That was a weird experience.
But it makes you such a worse addict. Because, like, I'm getting in the same way now as well, because Jed's become a super horror addict. He's watched all the same films you have, and I've watched all of them with him, and I'm starting to just kind of be like, whatever. But I miss being jump scared. Like, The Conjuring was the last movie where I was, like kind of bumping out of my seat every 5 seconds, right? And it was because it was so clever with its scares and its jump scares. It was like, I would never have seen those hands come out of the dark, etc., right? And I just want another movie to do that again. I've been waiting.
There was something creepy about the hands coming out when there's a door behind her, and it's just like, it just came out of the fucking darkness.
Yeah,
How crazy
but I've
is
never
that?
seen that before because they were just clever. But I have seen the darkness behind, and the scary thing usually, or like something grabs her, or something shakes her, or something goes boo, right? But it didn't. It came out in a weird way, which was James Wan. Yeah, and, like, that's his talent with the horror films for sure. But what I mean is, like, now with every other film,
James Wan is great at crafting a scene and just a scare in general.
Yeah.
I think he's still one of the best out there today.
Yeah, and that's like I now my bar is at that point where I'm waiting to let another movie do that again, and really not many ever do. I mean, The Conjuring.
No,
2
this
did
is
a few.
Again, this is just it's very formulaic. I think if you haven't seen a lot of horror movies, I think this one it'll get you. Like, it does have some very, like, well done scenes. It's just, having seen it so many times, I just left kind of bored because I wasn't into the characters. The storyline wasn't really that engrossing. It's like, here's the origin of Annabelle, and it's like, fucking great. Who cares?
Yeah.
That's why. And again, maybe you listen to this podcast and you hear me, and I'm like, The Cult of Chucky was fun, and that was a great movie. I like those kind of movies so much more because at least they're doing something different. Whereas this is like, I've seen this movie 12 times in the last 10 years, you know?
Yep.
That's kind of how I feel about Annabelle Creation.
Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting a great review, so...
But the thing was, this came out to, like, rave reviews at first, and then really low reviews, and then it kind of ended up somewhere in the middle. Like, middle high, like 60%.
Yeah, but that's horror films.
And I was like, oh, okay, so I was kind of hoping... And it's totally better than the first one. First one is, like, trash. This one is like, this is a craft dinner meal, you know?
They just get turned out so fast, you always kind of wait and try and see if you can get one of those scenes like...
They totally set up a nun as well in this. There's a nun in this movie, and she has a picture, and then she's showing the guy in the house. She's like, oh yeah, that's me with the people in Italy, Spain, Spaghetti Factory, wherever. And
Mario.
Maybe they were playing Mario. And she's like, oh yeah, they're great people. And the guy, and he kind of like turns the picture, and there's like this like one nun on the side of the picture, and it's like clearly Valak, and he's like, who's this? She's like, oh, I don't know. I never talked to her. And I was like, that's fucking stupid. And then at the very end, I watched, you know, if you go to the end credit scenes, because this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe life we live now, there's a scene that's just like, I don't know, a church or like the Roman church or something, and then Valak is very slowly like sliding towards the screen, and the candles are lighting up beside her, and it's just like, okay, cool.
It's like you didn't notice the demonic nun who just kind of kept hanging out behind you.
Yeah. I like Valak in Conjuring 2.
Oh,
it's just like,
too.
She's dead now. Like, I don't really know if I want to see her origin.
No,
But maybe I do.
Kind of reminds me of one of my favorite cartoon shows was Freakazoid.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome Freakazoid. And one of the villains he fought in it was Halloween Jack.
Candlejack.
Candlejack, sorry, right. And if you said his name 3 times, he'd pop up and stuff, right? But I loved, like, they had that little segue piece, was like a PSA announcement with this guy's like, if you say Halloween Jack 3 times... Halloween Jack will not pierce. So don't worry, you can say Halloween Jack as often as you like. And just widens the pan a bit to the side of him, and there's him. And he floats with his knees in the air, and he's like, hello.
Yeah.
And then cuts to black. Like, I just always think of that whenever I think of like a floating character behind someone. It's just Candlejack.
I should draw Candlejack.
I was gonna recommend him for you.
That's actually
awesome.
That's actually a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Okay, and last thing. Unless, do you do anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Last thing, Evil Within 2, still playing it.
So far. I mean, now they've gotten further.
I'm further, and I'm not. I'm in the exact same place I was last week.
Just but you've done the exploring in the open.
I've explored this whole area, and again, this area isn't that big. But I've spent, what was I at last week? 1 or 2 hours?
Yeah, 3 hours.
I'm at like 6 now,
okay.
And it's like I spent like 3 to 4 hours exploring this, like just jam packed full of stuff.
But
spoilers for Evil. Spoilers with the Evil Within Chapter 3. In full, as far as I know. I don't really know how much there is more to do. I think I'm ready to move on. There's fantastic like side quests in this game. Like, they're not just the typical. I mean, there is some like typical like, oh, you can go find the gun parts, and it's like, yeah, there's like 3 zombies outside this. That's fine, like whatever. There's like some shit in that game where it just takes you on a ride. You go, because every house is technically like, not every house, but most of the houses you can go inside, and some of them you just find stuff. Some of them there's a zombie to kill. There's other ones where it just takes you on a total, like, fucking head trip, and you go in, he has a fucking vision, and you're going through an entirely different environment and thing, and you come out on the other side, and you're like, that doesn't feel like I'm in, like, I was in a completely different area, and then you just leave the house, and you're just like, okay, well, that was unsettling. And are you ever going to play this game?
Yeah.
Yeah?
But don't worry about spoilers for me.
Are you sure?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
There's something really cool.
Don't worry about it. Seriously, I don't get ruined by spoilers.
There's a house in this game you go into. You pick up a document. And you actually saw this part. Remember we were watching IGN, those 2 girls played that, and that ghost was coming after them? So you get that, and then she, like, teleports you into this other world or whatever, and then you have to get out, whatever. This ghost haunts you the rest of the game. Just haunts you. Not scripted, just randomly. You could be doing something else entirely different, and then you hear her, like, humming, and she just, like, enters the world, and you're like, fuck! And you just gotta, like, run to the other side of the fucking world, and you're like, no! I can't do this right now! I have nothing! Leave!
Does it actually kill you?
It can kill you. It kills you 1 hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you have to be worried about that fucking thing. Like, and then, so as far as I understand, there are other, like, scripted events where you get to, like, either fight her or get away from her. And there is an end to that side quest line. But if you go into that house early, you're just being haunted. And you have to be in, like, constant fear of this place. I just think that game is so great. I'm addicted to it in a way that I feel like I was addicted to Resident Evil 4. The combat isn't, like, the exact same. Like, it's not that loop. It's just, like, exploring this creepy world. And, like, they've done open world horror in a way that I never thought you could be able to do. And actually still feel spooked after, you know, it feels like, it's open. What the hell do I have to worry about? You got stuff to worry about. and entering every little like. I went into this basement and it turned into like a 20-minute long like dungeon run where I found like a shotgun at the end, and I was like, "Fuck yes, I needed this now because like you need to manage your resources so much in this game." I love it. It's so good.
Cool.
It's definitely like. What else do we play this year? Like it's Horizon Zero Dawn, Evil Within 2.
Cool. For me, a big one is like, I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn didn't even accomplish this, right? Because Horizon Zero Dawn had so many fucking insanely beautiful places you could go, and one of the ones that was the biggest letdown was when you were chasing down with Nora General there, the bad guy she wanted to kill so badly, and you go off to that one half of the map over there, and there's all these broken down cities on the edge by the water, and all of these machines that are like way more powerful than you're gonna be for a while, and you're just like, oh, what the fuck's over there? And even if you stealth your way through to go explore it, there's literally not even a single collectible over there. It's just nothing, right?
Yeah.
And that's a very standard thing that happens a lot in open world games. Sometimes,
all the time, yeah.
Like things are just designed and then they just kind of get forgotten about. But like when it comes down to a town like that, when you have all these little houses, especially with houses, you want to go inside each one, right? Like I fucking watch Walking Dead, and I'm like, you're just walking by the house, go inside this.
They might have pudding.
Yeah, more roof pudding.
Yes, more roof pudding. Yeah, like this game is totally great. And again, small little open world segment. I don't think it's gonna last. I think there's actually like a couple chapters where it opens up, but a lot of it is still a linear game. But I've enjoyed just this open world part so much, and like I said, they've just jam-packed it with so much stuff, because even if you go into a house and there's not much in there, because the resources are so scarce, you're like, 2 handgun bullets? Fuck yes. Like, you're stoked. Yeah. Like, it is such a good game.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on it. I just gotta get through Battle Chasers.
Battle Chasers, yeah. And there's also Wolfenstein out now, and
I'm not
fucking
gonna play
Mario.
I'm probably not gonna play Wolfenstein.
I think I'm gonna get Mario next, is the next one, I think.
Mario's my next one, because I'm gonna go grab a Switch soon and do that, because as much as I'm interested in Wolfenstein from the trailer, I have not played it since the first one, you know, so like, I'm not really drawn in on that.
I mean, it's arcadey shooting. I've never known you to like want to play a game
like
that.
I didn't want to play Doom, you know, like the new Doom, I mean.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff, like, it's not my can of worms.
No, that's not.
I'm not or what's the other one you play there that was, the 2 army guys?
Oh, Army of 2?
Yeah.
Army of 2 is fucking fantastic.
There you go. See, like, I mean, not my type.
Army of 2 is like a Gears of War ripoff, though.
Yeah, and Gears of War, I don't play that either. Like, it's just not my bag, but...
Yeah.
And I like, first
the thing is, though, it kind of is your bag, because Mass Effect 2 is, like, a really good third-person shooter.
Yeah.
You know? But you also do a lot more of the power stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, subject matter works for me, right? Like,
yeah.
Psychic sci-fi.
I guess the sci-fi stuff is better to you than 4 beefy dudes going against and slightly uglier beefy dudes.
Yeah, and shooting aliens like just because aliens, you know, like that's not my thing.
Mike, they're Locust, and it was Emergence Day, and I don't remember why. Something about emulsion.
See, like Metro interests me, right? So,
yeah, Metro's a really cool story, though.
Yeah, so Fallout, even like I even didn't play a single Fallout until you convinced me to start playing Fallout, and then I played
4.
Well, I played the one right before that. Was that Vegas?
There's New Vegas and there's 3.
3, so I played 3 and 4.
Yeah. New Vegas is a really good one.
It's on PS Plus. I'm actually thinking about it.
New Vegas is real good, man. New Vegas is better than 3 for sure, and I love 3. Like the New Vegas is my jam. I played that game like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, amazing! I was like, it was spin.
That's it. If you know the story to Gears of War, why don't you tweet me at DCalG? Or if you want to explain the Gears of War lore to Mike, he's at Mike Kent Draws. Or
don't.
If you just wanna tweet at the Pens and Pixels podcast, that's PNP_popcast. .twitter.com. .biz.
I was waiting for the rest of it.
.gov.
.gov. No, I think it's even .it and .e and stuff.
There's .bike.
There's .bike. Yeah, so also if you want to drop us a comment on any of our major social media or give us a like, share, and subscribe, that would be a huge help. Pass us around to your friends and let them know that you like us. You can do that on SoundCloud, you can do that on YouTube, you can do that on iTunes. Give us a rating and all that stuff. All the love helps. And other than that, we'll see you guys next week.
Keep on popping.
I hate that. I gotta get a better ending.
No, we poppin' fresh.